What a disgrace. You know, can I be aggravated today? I mean, 9-14, just a brutal weekend in Philadelphia. You couldn't lose a worse game than they lost Friday night. They lose the next two games. Match stinks. Let's be honest about that. They leave. They're now leaving. Forget small countries. They're now leaving small continents on base that they can never get a freaking big hit. I mean, what can I tell you? Let's be honest. There's 37 games left to go. You got to be concerned about this team. They got the Marlins now 3 games, all right? 3 games. And I know the Marlins have played well, but you really think they're going to sweep the Marlins? Let's be real. And then they play the Yankees. I mean, what? I mean, the season could be over by the weekend. It could be.
Well, last night, I'm watching the Yankee-Red Sox game, and they put this graphic on the screen, like giving you an update on the playoff races. And the Mets are, quote, in the hunt. So there you go.
Well, they are in the hunt. Well, everybody's
in the hunt.
9-14, bro.
Look, they have been far worse than any of us could have expected.
Far worse.
Far worse. And I don't want to hear, and I don't think any Met fan wants to hear the excuses of injuries, because on the other side of this town, the Yankees continue their absurd trend of losing key players on a daily basis. It started a year ago, and they win anyway. So good teams, which I don't think the Mets are right now.
No.
Good teams overcome that stuff.
Look, this team, you look at the Mets right now. Here's the deal on the Mets. They lead if I'm not mistaken, they lead the National League in hits. They lead the National League in walks. They lead the National League in being hit by batters, hit batsmen, okay? And they're like 11th in the league, or whatever, how many teams are in the league, in runs scored. I mean, that right there. We could talk about the pitching. We could talk about the starting rotation, the injury to DeGrom, Walker Lockett, Steven Matz, Rick Porcello. No. We could talk about whatever you want to talk about.
No.
They never get the freaking big hit, this team. Never.
We are right now, for the Mets, 23 games into the season, which is almost a halfway point, which is nuts to think about.
But please, they're more than a third of the way in already.
The main reason, the number one reason that they have the record they have, which is 9-14, is they don't get the big hit.
Never.
Those are the facts.
Absolutely never.
And you expect certain things in sports to eventually change. Eventually it evens itself out. So eventually you would figure, well, it'll even itself out.
Right.
Well, eventually, just by luck, they'll run into a few, and they'll start to hit in the clutch. And they haven't.
Can I ask you this question about Friday night? Okay.
Yeah.
They got a 4-2 lead Friday night. And I want to like this manager. I got to tell you, I want to like.
Oh, good. I know what you're going to say. Hit it, because I said this Saturday.
I want to like the manager. Yeah. You got a 4-2 lead in this game. You know at some point Walker Lockett is giving it up. I'm sorry. You had gotten as much beyond what you could expect from this guy. Okay? I'm sorry, right? You knew at some point he's giving it up. And he gives up that 3-run home run. I guess it was a 3-run home run to Ray Muto that night.
Yes.
And you knew they weren't winning. Even though they came back to tie the game, you knew they weren't winning. And the other thing is, let's be honest, Wilson Ramos, how bad has he been? I mean, he can't get a hit. And then, can he make the tag on that play? Conforto had him. He was out at the plate.
Yep.
Get in front of the damn plate. Make the play. What are you doing?
Well, you hit on the first thing, and I was on this on Saturday. When you have Walker Lockett give you 4 quality innings, and not only does he give up a double to Rhys Hoskins, but then he walks Bryce Harper on 4 pitches, get him out of the game. But hear me out on this. Can I tell you why this is actually Brodie Van Wagenen's fault?
Tell me why.
Hear me out on this. So late last week,
by the way, Rhys Hoskins. By the way, let me just say this too: the Phillies they were in trouble going into that Mets series. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Rhys Hoskins had 1 RBI. Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
I'm just pointing these things out, you know?
No, I'm with it.
Phillies and the bullpen was like the worst of all time.
Right.
Not against the Mets.
Not anymore. And even in game 2 and game 3, they got really good starting pitching from Nolan Wheeler.
Yeah, they did.
But in game 1, Spencer Howard's knocked out in the 4th inning. Go beat these guys up. Instead, 2 for 16 with runners in scoring position.
Unbelievable.
2 for 16. But here's where Brodie messes up. And Brodie does this a lot. He's not a very good general manager, if you're not aware of this. So they activated Robinson Cano. And while doing so, they optioned Drew Smith to the minor leagues.
Who's been pretty good.
Okay, he's been pretty good. Now, my first reaction is, what the heck are they doing? I mean, Drew Smith is actually a capable reliever. You have no starting pitching right now, which means you're going to have to really rely on your bullpen. Why would you option Drew Smith, who, by the way, you can't call back up unless someone goes on the injured list? You got to wait 10 days. Okay, fine. I get over it. I live with it, Joe. I'm like, all right, Drew Smith isn't there. By the way, Drew Smith would have been a pretty good guy to go to against JT Realmuto in the 5th inning.
Yes.
All right. But I guess they figure, you know what? We got to keep the same. We want to keep Brian Dozier on the team. We need his derriere on the roster.
Not anymore. Did they DFA him yesterday?
2 days later, Joe.
He stinks. Brian Dozier. Why was he on the team at all? Why was he even there?
Look, he shouldn't have been there to begin with, but why is he on the roster for 48 hours and then they call up Franklin Killamay?
Yeah,
why?
Right,
why isn't Drew Smith still on the roster?
Right.
That
Great
made
point.
no sense whatsoever.
Yep.
And it's not an excuse for Rojas because you still could take Lockett out of the game. But why is Drew Smith taking off this roster for 48 hours of Brian Dozier, who does nothing? And then you get rid of him for Killamay. Yeah. How about you keep Drew Smith on the roster?
No, great point.
Stupid GMing by Brody Van Wagenen.
Oh, my God.